The safe was empty. I stood there in my daughter's bedroom, staring at the metal box that should have held her grandmother's jewelry, pieces worth over $40,000 that I'd given her for her 30th birthday just 2 years ago. My hands shook as I touched the velvet lining where the diamond necklace should have been, where her grandmother's engagement ring should have been, where everything that mattered should have been. But it wasn't the missing jewelry that made my blood run cold. It was the sticky note I found at the bottom of the safe. Yellow, crumpled, with my daughter's Emma's handwriting. "Mom, if you're reading this, something has happened to me." I should probably back up. I should tell you how I got here, standing in my daughter's house while she was supposedly at work, breaking into her personal safe like some kind of criminal. Because 3 months ago, I would never have imagined myself doing this. 3 months ago, I still believed my son-in-law Ryan was the perfect husband. God, how wrong I was. It started with coffee, just a regular Tuesday morning at our local Starbucks. Emma and I had been meeting there every week for the past 5 years, our little tradition that survived her college years, her wedding, everything. But that morning in September, she looked different. Tired, yes, but something else. She kept checking her phone, and when the barista called out our order, she fumbled in her purse for what felt like forever. "Honey, I got it," I said, pulling out my card. "No, Mom, I can..." She stopped, her face flushing red. "Actually, could you... Ryan's reorganizing our accounts." Reorganizing. That's what she called it. I paid, of course. But as we sat down with our lattes, I noticed her clothes. Emma had always been put together, professional. She worked as a marketing director at a tech company, made good money. But her blazer had a small tear at the seam. Her shoes, the designer heels she used to love, had been replaced with flats from Target. Is everything okay?" I asked. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Of course! Ryan's just really good with finances. He says I spend too much on unnecessary things, so he's helping me budget better." Helping. Another interesting word choice. Over the next few weeks, our coffee dates became my personal investigation. Each time, Emma had a new excuse for why she couldn't pay. Her cards were being replaced. The account was frozen due to suspicious activity. Ryan was switching banks for better interest rates. And each time, she looked a little more worn down, a little less like the confident daughter I'd raised. The turning point came in October. Emma called me crying, actually crying, because she'd gotten a parking ticket and didn't know how she'd explain it to Ryan. "It's only $75, I said, trying to understand. "Just pay it and..." "I can't!" The desperation in her voice hit me like a physical blow. "I don't have access to... Ryan handles all of that. He gives me cash for groceries and gas, but I already used this week's amount, and if he finds out I was downtown when I said I was going straight home..." That's when I knew. My daughter wasn't in a marriage. She was in a prison. But here's the thing about being a mother. Sometimes love means doing things that might destroy your relationship with your child. Sometimes protecting them means becoming the villain in their story. I made my decision that night, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. while my husband snored beside me. I was going to save my daughter, whether she wanted me to or not. The plan started simple. I'd document everything, gather evidence of financial abuse, then confront Ryan directly. Maybe threaten him with exposure if he didn't change. I was naive enough to think a stern talking to from his mother-in-law might scare him straight. So I started watching. I drove by their house at odd hours, noting when cars came and went. I created a fake Facebook profile to monitor their social media activity. And yes, I know how that sounds. Crazy mother-in-law stalking her daughter's marriage. But when you see your child disappearing piece by piece, rational thought goes out the window. What I discovered was worse than control. It was systematic destruction. Ryan had convinced Emma to put all her work bonuses into a joint investment account, an account only he could access. He'd persuaded her to sign over her car to him for insurance purposes. The house they lived in Only his name on the deed, despite Emma paying half the mortgage from her salary, which went directly into his checking account. But the real kicker came when I ran into Emma's best friend Jessica at the grocery store. "How's Emma?" she asked, and something in her tone made me stop. "What do you mean?" Jessica looked uncomfortable. I haven't heard from her in months. She doesn't return my calls. The last time I tried to visit, Ryan said she wasn't feeling well, but she trailed off, then leaned closer. "Mrs. Patterson, is Emma okay? Really okay?" That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going into their house. Emma had given me a spare key years ago, and though she'd probably forgotten about it, I hadn't. I waited until I knew they'd both be at work, my heart pounding as I turned the key in the lock. The house was immaculate. What I found in their home office made my skin crawl. Files. Dozens of files, all labeled with Emma's name, documenting every purchase she'd made in the last 3 years. Receipts for a $5 coffee highlighted in red with "unnecessary" written in Ryan's neat handwriting. Spreadsheets tracking her infractions, times she'd spent money without permission. And a contract. An actual contract that Emma had apparently signed, agreeing to let Ryan manage all household finances for the health of their marriage. My hands trembled as I photographed everything with my phone. This wasn't just control. This was obsession. But then I found the notebook. It was hidden behind other files, black leather with a lock that had been left open. Inside, Ryan's handwriting filled page after page. But these weren't financial records. These were plans. Detailed plans about Emma's life, when she should quit her job after the December bonus, when they should have children, once her career ambitions are properly adjusted. And most chilling, a timeline for complete financial dependence with a target date just 6 months away. One entry stopped me cold. E's mother becoming a problem. Too many questions. Need to create distance. Perhaps suggest she's showing signs of dementia? The bastard was planning to turn my daughter against me. I don't remember deciding to go upstairs. My feet just carried me there, my mind racing with fury and fear. Their bedroom was as sterile as the rest of the house, but I went straight to the closet, to the safe I knew Emma kept there. The safe where she'd always kept her grandmother's jewelry, pieces that had been in our family for generations. The combination was easy. Emma had used the same number since high school, her birthday backwards. The lock clicked open, and that's when I found nothing. The safe was empty except for that yellow sticky note. "Mom, if you're reading this, something has happened to me." My heart stopped. I grabbed the note, turning it over. On the back, in smaller writing, "Check the garage freezer under the vegetables." I practically ran downstairs, my mind conjuring terrible possibilities. The garage was cold, dimly lit. The freezer hummed in the corner, an old chest model they'd inherited from Ryan's parents. I yanked it open, shoving aside bags of frozen peas and corn until my fingers hit something that didn't belong. A Ziploc bag wrapped in aluminum foil. Inside was a flash drive and another note. "Mom, I know you'll come looking. You always do when you're worried. If you're reading this, it means I couldn't get out on my own. Everything you need is on this drive, but please be careful. Ryan is not who you think he is. He's not who I thought he was. I love you." I clutched that note to my chest and sobbed. My daughter was asking for help the only way she knew how, by leaving breadcrumbs for the one person she knew would go looking. Back home, I plugged in the flash drive with shaking hands. What I found there changed everything I thought I knew about my son-in-law.
bank statements showing money transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands, emails between Ryan and Derek about the operation, and photographs. Photographs of Ryan with another woman, multiple women actually, all at expensive restaurants, hotels, resorts, all paid for with credit cards I recognized, cards in Emma's name that she didn't even know existed. Ryan wasn't just controlling my daughter's money, he was stealing it, living a complete double life funded by her salary and her credit. But the worst was yet to come. A folder labeled insurance contained documents that made my blood run cold. Life insurance policies on Emma, 3 of them, all purchased in the last year, totaling $2 million, all with Ryan as the sole beneficiary. I stared at those documents, my mind racing. The control, the isolation, the life insurance, the note saying, if something has happened to me. This wasn't just financial abuse anymore. This was... I couldn't even think the word. That's when I made the decision that would haunt me forever. I wasn't going to wait for the police. I wasn't going to confront Ryan directly. I was going to destroy him systematically and completely the same way he was destroying my daughter. The plan formed in my mind with disturbing clarity. I had access to their house, I had evidence of his crimes, and I had something Ryan didn't know about. 30 years of experience as a forensic accountant before I retired. I knew exactly how to move money, hide transfers, and make financial records tell whatever story I wanted them to tell. If Ryan wanted to play games with finances, I'd show him how a professional played. It started small. Using the information from Emma's files, I accessed one of the credit cards Ryan had opened in her name, the one he used for his hotel visits. I changed the billing address to a P.O. box I controlled. Then I reported the card stolen. When the new one arrived, I had full access to an account Ryan thought was his secret. Next, I used that card to make donations. Large donations to women's shelters, but not just random ones. I donated to shelters in the cities where Ryan had taken his other women. I made sure to use the hotel's Wi-Fi networks. I drive to each hotel, sit in their parking lots with my laptop, and make the donations from there. To anyone investigating, it would look like Ryan had grown a guilty conscience. But that was just the beginning.
Using the routing numbers from Ryan's secret accounts, I set up automatic transfers. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there, moving from his hidden accounts to Emma's personal account, the one she didn't know still existed. I backdated the transfers in the system, making it look like they'd been happening for months. If anyone checked, it would appear that Ryan had been slowly returning money to his wife. The beautiful part? Ryan couldn't report it without admitting the accounts existed. But I needed to be smarter. I needed Ryan to expose himself. That's when I remembered Derek, the name from the emails. A little digging revealed Derek was Ryan's business partner in what appeared to be a real estate scheme, buying properties with money that technically belonged to Emma. I created an email account similar to Derek's and sent Ryan a message. Getting nervous about the audit. We need to meet. Usual place. Ryan replied within an hour. Thursday, 8 p.m. We're fine. Stop panicking. Thursday came, and I followed Ryan to a bar downtown. I sat in my car, watching him wait for 45 minutes before he started making calls, getting increasingly agitated. That's when I sent the next email. Can't make it. FBI asking questions, destroying everything. You should do the same. The look of panic on Ryan's face as he read that message was worth every risk I'd taken. He rushed home, and I followed at a distance. Through the window, I watched him shred documents, wipe computers, make frantic phone calls. He was destroying evidence, all right, evidence of his legitimate business dealings, thinking it was connected to his crimes. He was creating chaos in his own life, and he had no idea why. But then, Emma came home early. I watched from my car as they argued, Emma's confusion evident even from a distance. Ryan was yelling, pacing, and then he grabbed her arm hard. Emma tried to pull away, and he grabbed her other arm, shaking her. I was out of my car before I could think, using my key to burst through their front door. "Get your hands off my daughter!" Ryan spun around, his face red with rage. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" "Mom?" Emma's voice was small, scared. There were tears on her face. "I'm calling the police," Ryan said, reaching for his phone. "Good," I said. "Call them. I'm sure they'd love to know about the Cayman accounts, about Derek, about the 3 life insurance policies you took out on my daughter." The color drained from his face. How did I what, Ryan? How did I find out you've been stealing from Emma for years? How did I discover you're living a double life? Or how did I know you were planning to... I couldn't say it, not in front of Emma. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Emma looked between us, confused and frightened. That's when Ryan laughed, actually laughed. "You stupid old woman, you think you figured it all out, don't you?" He turned to Emma. "Your mother broke into our house. She's been stalking us, going through our private things. She's lost her mind." "I have proof." I pulled out my phone. "Proof you obtained illegally," Ryan shot back. "Proof that you've been harassing us, breaking and entering, probably violating a dozen laws. Who do you think they'll believe? A respected businessman or a bitter old woman who can't let her daughter go?" He was right. Everything I'd done, every piece of evidence I'd gathered, I'd obtained illegally. It would never hold up in court. Worse, I could be the one facing charges. "Emma," I said, desperate now, "the safe in your bedroom, your grandmother's jewelry, it's gone. He took it." Emma's face changed. "What? No, that's... Ryan?" "She's lying, honey. Your jewelry is fine. Your mother is having some kind of breakdown." "Then let's go look," I challenged. The 3 of us went upstairs, Ryan insisting the whole way that this was ridiculous, that I needed help. But when Emma opened the safe, when she saw it was empty, except for her own note, the note she'd written months ago when she first started suspecting something was wrong, everything changed. "Where is it?" Her voice was deadly quiet. "Where is my grandmother's jewelry, Ryan?" I moved it to a safety deposit box for security. "Without telling me?" "Those were mine, my grandmother's, my family's." "We're married. What's yours is mine." It was the wrong thing to say. I saw something shift in Emma's eyes, a clarity that hadn't been there in months. "No," she said simply. "No, it's not." What happened next occurred so fast I barely processed it. Ryan grabbed Emma's wrist, trying to pull her away from the safe. She twisted, pulling free, and shoved him. Not hard, but he was off balance. He stumbled backward, his foot catching on the bedroom rug. Time slowed as he fell, his head hitting the corner of their heavy wooden dresser with a sound I'll never forget. A wet crack that seemed to echo in the sudden silence. Ryan crumpled to the floor and didn't move. "Oh, God," Emma whispered. "Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God." I dropped to my knees beside him, checking for a pulse. It was there, but weak. Blood pooled beneath his head, soaking into the cream carpet. "We need to call 911, I said, reaching for my phone. "Wait." Emma's voice was strange, disconnected. "Mom, wait."
I looked up at my daughter, phone in hand, and saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Calculation. Cold, clear calculation. Emma, he needs help. Does he? She sat on the bed, staring down at Ryan's unconscious form. You know what he did to me, Mom. What he's been doing. You found out somehow, didn't you? That's why you're here. Emma, the insurance policies. I knew about them. Her confession hit me like ice water. I found them months ago. That's when I wrote the note, hid the flash drive. I knew you'd come looking if something happened to me. You always do. My mind reeled. You knew? Then why didn't you leave? With what money? He controlled everything. Even if I divorced him, he'd hidden so much of my assets I'd never find them. I'd be starting over with nothing while he lived off what he stole from me. She looked at Ryan's still form. But if something happened to him... Emma, no. Whatever you're thinking. I'm his beneficiary too, Mom. His business, his accounts, everything goes to me. I could recover what he stole from me, start over, be free. The sound of sirens in the distance made the decision for us. Someone, a neighbor maybe, had already called for help. He fell, Emma said, her voice steady now. You weren't even here. You came by after the ambulance arrived, worried because I called you crying. That's the story. I wanted to protest, to insist on the truth, but looking at my daughter, thin, exhausted, aged years in the months of her marriage, I just nodded. The paramedics arrived in a blur of motion and medical terminology. Ryan was alive but unconscious, a severe head injury that would require immediate surgery. Emma played the panicked wife perfectly, and I played the supportive mother who'd just arrived. At the hospital, we waited, hour after hour, sitting in uncomfortable chairs under fluorescent lights. Emma held my hand, and I wondered what I'd raised. What kind of person could calculate so coldly in such a moment? But then I remembered the files, the control, the systematic destruction of her life, and I understood. Ryan had created this version of my daughter. He'd pushed her to this point. The doctor finally emerged after 6 hours. Mrs. Mitchell, your husband is stable, but... He paused, choosing his words carefully. The injury to his brain was significant. He's alive, but he's experienced severe damage to his frontal lobe. He'll never fully recover cognitive function. Emma's grip on my hand tightened. What does that mean? He's conscious, but his ability to form new memories, to manage complex thoughts or tasks, it's severely impaired. He'll need constant care. Over the following weeks, the truth of Ryan's condition became clear. He could walk, talk, eat, perform basic functions, but he couldn't remember what he had for breakfast. He couldn't manage money, couldn't work, couldn't manipulate or control anyone ever again. Emma took control of everything with a power of attorney. She found all his hidden accounts, recovered her stolen assets, discovered the extent of his double life, the other women, the debts, the illegal business dealings with Derek, who, it turned out, was already under FBI investigation. But here's where the story takes its final turn. 3 months after the accident, I was helping Emma clean out Ryan's office when we found another safe, hidden behind a false panel in the wall. Inside were documents that changed everything I thought I knew about Ryan Mitchell. Ryan Mitchell didn't exist. The man my daughter married was actually Robert Morse, a con artist with 3 previous marriages, all ending when his wives died under suspicious circumstances, all with large insurance policies, all ruled accidents. Emma sank into a chair, the documents scattered around her. He was going to kill me. But you stopped him, I said. It's over now. She looked up at me then, and the smile on her face chilled me to the bones. Is it, Mom? Or is this just the beginning? What do you mean? I mean, I have a husband who can't remember yesterday, who signs whatever I put in front of him, who the world sees as a victim of a terrible accident. I control everything now. His money, his business connections, his entire life. She stood, straightening the papers. Ryan taught me well, didn't he? About control, about power, about taking what you want. Emma, that's not who you are. Isn't it? She turned to face me fully. You broke into our house, Mom. You stalked us, gathered illegal evidence, manipulated accounts. You were willing to do anything to save me. We're not so different. I wanted to protest, but the words died in my throat. Because she was right. In trying to save my daughter from a monster, what had I become? And worse, what had I turned her into? Emma kept Ryan at home, hiring nurses to care for him. To the outside world, she was the devoted wife caring for her injured husband. But I knew the truth. She controlled his every moment, decided his every move, managed every aspect of his existence. She'd become everything he tried to make her, and more. The last time I visited, Ryan was sitting in the garden, watching birds. He smiled when he saw me, no recognition in his eyes. "Hello," he said pleasantly. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "Yes," I agreed softly. "It is." Emma appeared beside him, adjusting his blanket with practiced care. "He's happy," she said. "Happier than he ever was before. No stress, no schemes, no lies. Just simple existence." "And you?" I asked. "Are you happy?" She considered the question. "I'm free, Mom. Isn't that what you wanted?" I left that day with a weight in my chest that hasn't lifted since. I saved my daughter from a monster, but at what cost? She's free, yes, but she's also changed. The Emma I raised, the one who laughed easily and trusted freely, she's gone. In her place is someone who learned too well the lessons her husband tried to teach. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I should have just called the police that first day. Let the law handle it. But then I remember the empty safe, the insurance policies, the other dead wives. And I know, Emma would have become another statistic. Instead, she became something else. Someone else. The truth is, we all have the capacity for darkness. When someone we love is threatened, the only difference between a hero and a villain is perspective and who's left to tell the story. My daughter is free. She's alive. She's also something I never wanted her to become. But she's here, and in the end, maybe that's all that matters. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself so I can sleep at night. You can judge me. You can say you'd have done differently. But until you've stood in that bedroom, seeing your child's fear, knowing what's coming for them, you can't really know what you're capable of. I do now. And that knowledge will haunt me forever. They say a mother's love knows no bounds, that we do anything to protect our children. But what happens when protecting them means becoming someone you don't recognize, when saving them requires you to damn yourself? I look back now and see all the moments I could have chosen differently, called the authorities, confronted Ryan openly, trusted the system. But I also remember my daughter's tears, her fear, the bruises on her wrists that night. And I know, I'd do it all again. Maybe that makes me a monster. Or maybe it just makes me a mother. The truth is, we all have the capacity for darkness when someone we love is threatened. The only difference between a hero and a villain is perspective, and who's left to tell the story. My daughter is free. She's alive. She's also something I never wanted her to become. But she's here, and in the end, maybe that's all that matters. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself so I can sleep at night. You can judge me. You can say you'd have done differently. But until you've stood in that bedroom, seeing your child's fear, knowing what's coming for them, you can't really know what you're capable of. I do now. And that knowledge will haunt me forever. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think about the lengths we go for family and the prices we pay for freedom, please like and share. Subscribe for more stories that explore the darkest corners of human nature and the terrifying truth that sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones we create ourselves.